Jenna Torres had never planned to defend a stranger at a dinner party, but something about watching a room full of people tear into someone who wasn't even fighting back made her blood boil. The charity gala was supposed to be a networking opportunity, a chance for her architecture firm to connect with potential clients who had money to spend on custom designs. Her boss had insisted she attend, though Jenna would have preferred spending her Friday night anywhere else. The ballroom sparkled with crystal chandeliers and the kind of excessive wealth that made her uncomfortable. She had grown up in a working-class neighborhood in Chicago, and these events always felt like stepping into a different world where the air itself cost more to breathe. She was nursing a glass of champagne near the dessert table when she heard the raised voices. A group of 7 or 8 people had cornered a tall man in an impeccably tailored suit near the floor-to-ceiling windows. Jenna recognized a few faces from the local news, prominent business owners and socialites who loved seeing their names in print. "You have some nerve showing your face here," a woman in a scarlet dress hissed. "After what your company did." "My father's company," the man corrected quietly. His voice was deep and measured, but Jenna could hear the exhaustion in it. "And I'm working to fix the damage." "Fix it?" A portly man with a thick mustache laughed harshly. "You laid off 300 workers right before Christmas. You can't fix that kind of cruelty." Jenna moved closer, curiosity getting the better of her. The man being attacked had dark hair that fell slightly over his forehead, and even from a distance, she could see the sharp lines of his jaw. He stood with his shoulders back, not cowering but not aggressive either. There was something resigned in his posture, like he had expected this reception. "Those layoffs happened under my father's leadership," he said. "I took over the company 3 weeks ago. My first action was to establish a severance fund and job placement program for everyone affected." "Too little, too late," the woman in scarlet shot back. "The damage is done, William." Jenna filed the name away. She should have walked away, gone back to schmoozing with potential clients, but something kept her rooted in place. Maybe it was the way he stood there taking verbal punches without throwing any back. Maybe it was the flicker of pain she saw cross his face when no one else seemed to be looking. "Your family built their fortune on the backs of workers you treated like garbage," another man chimed in. "You're all the same. Rich, entitled, and completely disconnected from real people's lives." That was when Jenna felt her feet moving forward, propelled by a sense of justice that had gotten her into trouble more than once. Her mother always said she had too much fire in her belly and not enough sense to know when to keep quiet. "Excuse me," Jenna said, stepping into the circle. 8 pairs of eyes turned to her, most filled with irritation at the interruption. "But this seems a bit unfair." "I'm sorry, who are you?" the woman in scarlet asked, looking Jenna up and down with barely concealed disdain. "Nobody important," Jenna replied, meeting her gaze steadily. "Just someone who thinks ganging up on one person makes all of you look like bullies rather than concerned citizens." The mustached man sputtered. "We're holding him accountable." "Are you?" Jenna turned to face him. "Because from where I'm standing, you're attacking someone for decisions he didn't make. He just said he's trying to fix what his father did wrong. What more do you want from him?" "He could have refused to take over the company," someone else said. "And then what?" Jenna countered. "Someone else takes over, someone who maybe doesn't care about making amends. At least he's trying to do something right. That counts for something." She could feel William's eyes on her now, and when she glanced his way, the intensity of his gaze made her breath catch. He was looking at her like she had just performed some kind of miracle, like she was the first person to offer him water after days in the desert. His eyes were the color of storm clouds, gray with hints of blue, and they were completely focused on her face. "You don't know what you're talking about," the woman in scarlet said dismissively. "This doesn't concern you." You're making a scene at a charity event, Jenna pointed out. That kind of makes it everyone's concern. If you actually cared about the workers who were laid off, maybe you'd be praising someone who's trying to help them instead of tearing him down. Unless this is just about making yourselves feel morally superior. The silence that followed was thick and uncomfortable. The mustached man's face had turned an alarming shade of red, and the woman in scarlet looked like she had just tasted something sour. "This is ridiculous," she finally said. "Come on, everyone. We don't have to stand here and be insulted." The group dispersed, throwing dark looks over their shoulders. Jenna watched them go, her heart pounding. She had just made enemies of some influential people, which was probably not great for her career prospects. But when she turned back to William, the look on his face made it worth it. "Thank you," he said softly. "You didn't have to do that." "I know," Jenna replied. "But it seemed like someone should. Up close, he was even more striking than she had initially thought. He had to be in his early 30s with the kind of chiseled features that belonged on magazine covers. But it was the vulnerability in his eyes that caught her attention, a weariness that suggested he had been fighting battles for longer than just tonight. "William Anderson," he said, extending his hand. "Jenna Torres." His hand was warm and firm in hers, and she felt an unexpected jolt of electricity at the contact. "Architecture, not finance, so I promise I'm not buttering you up for business." A small smile tugged at his lips. It transformed his face, softening the hard edges. "That's refreshing. Though I have to ask, why did you jump in? You don't know me or anything about the situation." Jenna shrugged, suddenly feeling self-conscious under his unwavering attention. "I don't like seeing people get ganged up on, and it sounded like you were actually trying to do the right thing." "That shouldn't be punished. Most people at these events cross the street when they see me coming," William admitted. "I've gotten used to being the villain." "Maybe you need to spend time around better people," Jenna suggested. He laughed, a genuine sound that seemed to surprise him as much as it did her. "Maybe I do." They stood there for a moment, neither quite sure what to say next. The party continued around them, a blur of expensive dresses and fake laughter, but Jenna found herself completely focused on the man in front of her. "Can I buy you a drink?" William asked. "It's an open bar, so technically I'd just be getting you a drink, but the sentiment stands." "Sure," Jenna heard herself say. "But only if you promise to tell me what you're actually doing to help those workers. I defended you, so I'd like to know I wasn't completely off base." "Fair enough." He gestured toward the bar, and they walked together through the crowd. Jenna noticed people watching them, whispering behind hands, but William seemed oblivious, or perhaps just used to the attention. At the bar, he ordered her a glass of red wine without asking what she wanted, and she was about to protest when he added, "I noticed you were drinking champagne earlier, but you looked like you weren't enjoying it. You strike me as more of a wine person." "Observant," Jenna said, accepting the glass. "Little creepy, but mostly observant," he winced. "Sorry, occupational hazard. I spend a lot of time reading people." They found a quieter corner away from the main crowd, and William told her about Anderson Manufacturing, the company his father had built over 40 years. It produced automotive parts, supplying factories across the Midwest. His father, Walter Anderson, had been brilliant and ruthless in equal measure, growing the company into a billion-dollar enterprise while alienating almost everyone who worked for him. "He had a heart attack 3 months ago," William said, staring into his scotch. "Survived it, but the doctors told him he needed to step back, so he handed everything over to me." "Just like that?" Jenna asked. "Just like that. I was working as a consultant in New York helping companies restructure. Ironic, right? I spent years helping other businesses fix their problems, and now I'm stuck with the biggest problem of all. The layoffs, Jenna said. William nodded. Dad made the decision 2 days before his heart attack, said the company couldn't afford to keep everyone on through a slow quarter. He was wrong. I've been going through the books and we could have easily weathered the dip. He just saw an opportunity to cut costs and took it. But you're trying to fix it. I set up a fund, like I said. Everyone who was laid off gets 6 months of severance, full health benefits for a year, and access to job placement services. I've also been reaching out to other companies in the area, trying to help people find new positions. He paused, his jaw tight. It doesn't undo what happened, but it's something. Jenna studied him carefully. She had expected corporate double-speak, justifications and excuses. Instead, he was being brutally honest about his father's failures and his own attempts to make things right. It was refreshing and a little heartbreaking. That's more than most people would do, she said gently. It's not enough, William replied, and everyone knows it. That's why I get the reception I got tonight everywhere I go. So why come to these events at all? He looked at her then, really looked at her, and Jenna felt heat rise in her cheeks. Because giving up isn't an option. If I hide, if I let people's anger drive me away, then I'm no better than my father. I have to face it, own it, and try to be better. There was conviction in his voice, a determination that Jenna found herself admiring despite having known him for all of 20 minutes. She was usually skeptical of wealthy people, having seen too many use their money as a shield against consequences. But William seemed different, or at least he was trying to be. Tell me about architecture, he said suddenly, shifting the conversation. What made you choose that? Jenna blinked at the change of subject but rolled with it. I like creating things that last. Buildings, spaces where people live their lives. There's something permanent about it, you know. Long after I'm gone, something I designed could still be standing. Do you work on big commercial projects? Some. Mostly I focus on residential and small community buildings. Libraries, community centers, that kind of thing. It doesn't pay as well as the big corporate jobs, but it feels more meaningful. William's expression softened. That's beautiful. Creating spaces for communities. They talked for another hour, losing track of time as the party swirled around them. Jenna learned that William had a younger sister named Sarah, who was studying marine biology in California. That he hated scotch, but drank it anyway because it was expected. And that he had once wanted to be a history teacher, before his father convinced him to go into business. I think you would have been a good teacher, Jenna said. What makes you say that? You're patient. And you actually listen when people talk instead of just waiting for your turn to speak. William smiled at that, a real smile that reached his eyes and made Jenna's stomach flip. You barely know me, true, she admitted, but I'm a good judge of character. Even for billionaires who get attacked at charity galas, Jenna's eyes widened. Billionaire. Seriously, he had the grace to look embarrassed. The company is worth about $2.3 billion. I own 60% of it. Wow. Jenna took a long sip of wine. I defended a billionaire. My socialist college friends would disown me. William laughed again, and Jenna decided she liked the sound of it. For what it's worth, I didn't ask to be born into this. And I'm trying to use it responsibly. I believe you, Jenna said, surprising herself with how much she meant it. The evening wound down around them. People started trickling out, heading home or to after parties. Jenna glanced at her phone and realized it was nearly midnight. I should go, she said reluctantly. Early morning tomorrow. We're presenting designs for a new rec center. Can I see you again? William asked, and there was something almost nervous in his voice, like he expected her to say no. Jenna hesitated. She liked him, more than she had expected to like anyone tonight. But he was a billionaire dealing with a PR nightmare, and she was just an architect trying to make her mark in the world. Their lives were completely different. Please. William added softly. I'd really like to take you to dinner. Somewhere without people who want to throw drinks at me, preferably. That made her laugh. Okay. Yeah, I'd like that. They exchanged numbers, and William insisted on walking her to her car. The parking garage was mostly empty, their footsteps echoing off the concrete. When they reached her modest sedan, William didn't comment on it, though she noticed his car, a sleek black Tesla, was parked a few spots away. Thank you again, he said. For tonight, for defending me when you didn't have to. You're welcome, Jenna replied. And William, don't let them make you feel like the villain. You're not your father. Something flickered in his eyes, an emotion she couldn't quite name. I hope you're right. He waited until she was in her car with the engine running before walking to his own vehicle. As Jenna drove home through the quiet city streets, she couldn't stop thinking about storm-gray eyes and the way he had looked at her like she was something precious. She had no idea what she was getting herself into. William called her 2 days later, on a Sunday afternoon when Jenna was sprawled on her couch reviewing blueprints. She almost didn't answer the unknown number, but something made her pick up. Hi, it's William, he said, and she could hear traffic in the background. William Anderson. From the gala. I remember, Jenna said, unable to keep the smile out of her voice. I don't defend that many billionaires. You stand out. I'm calling about dinner. Are you free Tuesday evening? I am now, Jenna replied, mentally rearranging her schedule. They agreed on a restaurant, an Italian place that William promised was quiet and intimate. After hanging up, Jenna found herself staring at her phone like a teenager with her first crush. This was ridiculous. She was 28 years old, a successful architect with a master's degree and a promising career. She should not be this excited about a date, but she was. Tuesday arrived with agonizing slowness. Jenna changed outfits 3 times before settling on a simple navy dress that was nice without being too formal. She arrived at the restaurant exactly on time and found William already there, waiting by the entrance. He was wearing dark jeans and a gray sweater that brought out his eyes, looking more relaxed than he had at the gala. When he saw her, his whole face lit up, and Jenna felt that flutter in her stomach again. You look beautiful, he said. You clean up pretty well yourself, she replied. The restaurant was as promised, small and cozy with soft lighting and the smell of garlic and fresh bread in the air. They were seated at a corner table, away from other diners, and Jenna appreciated the privacy. I wasn't sure you'd actually show up, William admitted once they had ordered. Why wouldn't I? You looked me up, right? Saw all the articles about the layoffs and the protests outside company headquarters. Jenna had indeed spent an embarrassing amount of time Googling William Anderson over the past 2 days. I did. But I also saw the articles about the severance fund and the job fairs you've been hosting. You're doing what you said you would. It's still not enough for most people, William said quietly. Maybe not, Jenna agreed, but it's more than nothing. And you can't control what your father did before you took over. I could have refused to take over at all, William said. Let the board appoint someone else. And what would that have accomplished? He considered this, twirling pasta on his fork. Probably nothing. But at least I wouldn't be the face of all this anger. You're the face of the solution, too, Jenna pointed out. People just aren't ready to see that yet. They ate and talked, conversation flowing as easily as it had at the gala. William asked about her family, and Jenna told him about growing up with 3 brothers in a cramped apartment where the walls were thin and privacy was a luxury. Her father worked construction, her mother cleaned houses, and everyone pitched in to make ends meet. They must be proud of you, William said, making it as an architect. They are, Jenna confirmed. Though my mom still doesn't quite understand what I do, she thinks I just draw pretty pictures of buildings. My father thinks what I'm doing now is weak, William said. Spending money to fix his mistakes. He called me from his retirement home in Florida last week to tell me I'm running the company into the ground. Are you? No. We're actually doing better than ever. Turns out treating employees well and investing in long-term growth is good for business. Who knew? Jenna laughed. Revolutionary concept. As the evening progressed, Jenna found herself leaning in closer, drawn to William in a way that felt both exciting and terrifying. He was attentive without being overbearing, funny without trying too hard, and genuinely interested in what she had to say. It had been a long time since she had felt this kind of connection with someone. "Tell me something you've never told anyone," William said suddenly. Jenna raised an eyebrow. "That's a bold request for a first date. Fair. I'll go first." He set down his wine glass and met her eyes. "I'm terrified I'm going to fail, that I'll try my best to fix things and it still won't be enough and everyone will have been right about me all along." The vulnerability in his voice made Jenna's chest ache. "That's not failure," she said softly. "Failure is not trying at all." "Your turn," William prompted. Jenna thought for a moment. "I'm scared I'll never design anything truly important. That I'll spend my whole career on small projects that nobody remembers, and I'll look back and wonder if I wasted my talent playing it safe." "You're 28, William said. "You have time." "So do you," Jenna countered. "You're what, 32? 33 next month." They smiled at each other across the table, a moment of shared understanding passing between them. Two people afraid of not living up to their own expectations, of failing in ways that mattered. After dinner, William walked her to her car again. The night was cool, the first hint of autumn in the air, and Jenna shivered slightly. Without a word, William shrugged off his jacket and draped it over her shoulders. It smelled like him, clean and woodsy with a hint of something spicy. "Thank you for tonight," Jenna said. "I had a really good time." "Me too." William stepped closer and Jenna's breath caught. "Can I see you again, soon?" "Yes," she whispered. He leaned in slowly, giving her plenty of time to pull away, but Jenna didn't move. When his lips met hers, it was soft and tentative, a question more than a demand. She answered by rising on her toes and kissing him back, her hands finding the front of his shirt. When they finally broke apart, both slightly breathless, William rested his forehead against hers. "Wow," he murmured. "Yeah," Jenna agreed, her heart racing. They stood there for another moment, neither wanting to let go before reality intruded. Jenna had an early meeting and William had a conference call with investors. The real world was waiting. "I'll call you tomorrow," William promised. "You better," Jenna replied, reluctantly stepping back. She drove home wearing his jacket, her lips still tingling, and wondered what she had gotten herself into. Dating a billionaire seemed like something from a movie, not her actual life. But William didn't feel like a billionaire when they were together. He just felt like a man trying his best to do right in difficult circumstances. A man she was rapidly falling for. Over the next few weeks, Jenna and William fell into a rhythm. They saw each other whenever their schedules allowed, which was more often than Jenna expected. William made time for her in ways that surprised her, canceling meetings and rearranging his calendar to steal a few hours together. They went to a Cubs game and ate hot dogs in the bleachers, surrounded by screaming fans. They visited the Art Institute on a quiet weekday afternoon and spent an hour debating the merits of different architectural styles. William took her to a fancy restaurant with a Michelin star, and Jenna took him to her favorite taco truck that parked near her apartment. "This is amazing," William said around a mouthful of al pastor. "How did I not know about this place?" "Because you probably never had a reason to visit this neighborhood," Jenna pointed out. "No offense, but you're pretty far from your usual circles." They were sitting on a bench in a small park, watching kids play basketball on a cracked court. William fit in about as well as a diamond in a toolbox, but he didn't seem to notice or care. "I like it here," he said. "It feels real. As opposed to the world I usually inhabit. Everything there is calculated, transactional. People want something from you or want to tear you down. There's not a lot of in between." Jenna bumped his shoulder with hers. "I want tacos from you. Does that count?" He grinned. "That I can handle." They were good together, easy in a way that Jenna hadn't experienced before. Past relationships had been complicated, full of game playing and uncertainty. With William, everything felt straightforward. He liked her, she liked him, and they enjoyed spending time together. It should have been simple, but the world had other ideas. The first article appeared 3 weeks after the gala. Someone had taken a photo of them at the Cubs game, and a gossip blog ran it with the headline "Billionaire Bad Boy's New Girlfriend." "Who is she?" Jenna stared at her laptop screen in horror. The article described her as an unknown architect and speculated about whether she was a gold digger or genuinely interested in William. It included photos from her social media, pictures she had thought were private, and even mentioned where she worked. Her phone rang. "William." "I'm so sorry," he said immediately. "I should have warned you this might happen." "I'm on a gossip site," Jenna said, still scrolling through the article. "They're calling me a gold digger." "They're idiots who don't know you, Jenna. I'm really sorry. I can have my lawyer send a cease and desist." "Will that make it go away?" The silence on the other end told her everything she needed to know. "This is my life," William said quietly. "People are interested in what I do, who I spend time with. It's invasive and unfair, but it's reality. If you want to stop seeing me, I understand." Jenna closed her laptop. "Do you want to stop seeing me?" "No," William said immediately. "Absolutely not." "Then we'll figure it out," Jenna decided, though her stomach was in knots. But it wasn't that simple. Over the next week, more articles appeared. Some were just gossip, speculating about their relationship and William's intentions. Others were crueler, with commenters dissecting her appearance and questioning what William could possibly see in her. The worst part was work. Her boss called her into his office on a Thursday morning, and Jenna knew it wasn't good news from his expression. "I need to ask if the rumors are true," he said. "Are you dating William Anderson?" "Yes," Jenna replied, "but it has nothing to do with my work here." "It might, actually." Her boss looked uncomfortable. "We're trying to land a contract with the Meadowbrook Development Group. They're building a new mixed-use complex on the north side." "I know. I've been working on the preliminary designs." "The thing is, Meadowbrook and Anderson Manufacturing have a complicated history. Walter Anderson outbid them on a property deal 5 years ago, and they've held a grudge ever since. If they find out you're dating William Anderson, they might take their business elsewhere." Jenna felt cold. "You're asking me to choose between my job and my personal life." "I'm asking you to be aware of the optics," her boss said carefully. "Look, I'm not telling you what to do, but this is a big contract and a lot of people here are counting on it." She left the office feeling sick. It wasn't fair. She was good at her job, and her relationship with William had nothing to do with her professional abilities. But apparently, in the world of big money and business deals, everything was connected. That night, she met William at his penthouse apartment overlooking the city. It was the first time she had been to his place, and the sheer scale of it was overwhelming. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of Chicago's skyline, and the furniture looked like it belonged in a museum. "You look upset," William said immediately, taking her coat. "What happened?" Jenna told him about the conversation with her boss, watching his expression darken as she spoke. "That's insane," he said when she finished. "They can't punish you for who you date." "They're not punishing me. They're just making me aware of consequences." Jenna sank onto his couch, which was more comfortable than it looked. "This is what you meant about everything being transactional, isn't it?" William sat beside her, taking her hand. "I hate that you're dealing with this because of me. It's not because of you. It's because people can't separate business from personal life." Jenna leaned her head on his shoulder. "I just wish things could be normal." "Normal is overrated," William said, trying for humor. "Complicated and dramatic is much more interesting." Despite everything, Jenna smiled. "Is that what we are? Complicated and dramatic? We're whatever you want us to be." He turned to face her fully. "But I need you to know something. I'm falling for you, Jenna. Hard. And I'm not going to let business deals or gossip blogs or anything else get in the way of that unless you want me to." Her heart stuttered. "You're falling for me, completely." His gray eyes were intense, searching her face. "I know it's fast, and I know the timing is terrible, but it's true. You make me feel like a person instead of a walking headline. When I'm with you, I'm not the billionaire who ruined Christmas for 300 families. I'm just William." Jenna reached up to cup his face, feeling the slight stubble on his jaw. "I'm falling for you too," she admitted. "Even though you're terrible at picking restaurants," he laughed, the sound warm and relieved. "That Michelin star place was not my finest moment. You thought ordering the tasting menu without asking me was romantic. It was presumptuous. In my defense, I was nervous." "You nervous?" Jenna teased. "The big bad billionaire around you. Always." He kissed her then, deep and slow, and Jenna forgot about gossip blogs and business deals and everything else that didn't matter. They spent the night talking and kissing on his couch, watching the city lights twinkle below them. William told her more about his childhood, growing up in a cold mansion with a father who viewed affection as weakness. Jenna talked about her dreams for the future, the buildings she wanted to design, the mark she wanted to leave on the world. "You'll do it," William said with such certainty that Jenna almost believed him. "How do you know?" "Because you're brilliant and passionate and you don't give up. Those are the qualities that change the world." Jenna fell asleep curled against him, feeling safe and cherished in a way she hadn't known she was missing. The next few weeks tested them in ways neither expected. The gossip continued, with new photos appearing regularly. Someone at the taco truck had sold a picture to a tabloid. Jenna's social media was flooded with comments from strangers, some supportive but many cruel. The situation at work deteriorated. Meadowbrook Development pulled their contract, citing philosophical differences, but everyone knew the real reason. Her boss assured her it wasn't her fault, but Jenna could feel the shift in how her colleagues treated her. Suddenly, she was the person who had cost them a major deal, even though rationally everyone knew it was about William's father, not her. William tried to fix it. He reached out to Meadowbrook personally, offering to mediate the old dispute with his father. They refused to meet with him. He looked into other development projects that Jenna's firm could pursue, but anything he touched felt tainted by their relationship. "I'm making things worse," he said one evening. They were at her apartment, which felt tiny compared to his penthouse but infinitely more comfortable. "Every time I try to help, I just remind people of who I am." "You're helping by being here," Jenna insisted. "I don't need you to fix my career. I need you to be my partner." "What if being your partner means destroying your career?" The question hung between them, heavy and unavoidable. Jenna had been asking herself the same thing, but hearing William's voice, it made it real. "Then I'll figure something else out," she said finally. "But I'm not walking away from us. Not unless you want me to." "Never," William said fiercely, pulling her close. "I'm just scared I'm being selfish, keeping you in my life when it's causing you so much trouble." "I'm a grown woman making my own choices," Jenna reminded him. "Stop trying to protect me from myself." He kissed her forehead. "Can't help it. Protective instincts come with the territory when you're falling in love. Jenna's breath caught. Love? Yeah, William said simply. I love you. I know it's only been 2 months, and it's probably too soon to say it, but I've never been good at hiding how I feel. I love you too, Jenna whispered, and saying it felt like jumping off a cliff, exhilarating and terrifying all at once. They made love that night, slow and tender, learning each other's bodies with the kind of attention that came from genuine feeling. Afterward, lying tangled in her sheets, Jenna felt more certain about her choice than ever. The world could think what it wanted. She knew what she had found. But knowing didn't make the external pressures easier to bear. Things came to a head 2 weeks later when Jenna was called into her boss's office again. This time, his expression was sympathetic but firm. "We're restructuring," he said. "The Meadowbrook deal falling through hurt more than we anticipated. We have to make cuts." "You're firing me," Jenna said flatly. "We're letting several people go. You're talented, Jenna, and in other circumstances, you'd absolutely stay. But given the current situation, the partners feel it's best if we part ways." The current situation being my relationship. Her boss had the grace to look ashamed. I pushed back for what it's worth, but I was outvoted. Jenna cleaned out her desk that afternoon, her coworkers avoiding eye contact as she packed her things into a cardboard box. 5 years of work, gone because she had fallen in love with the wrong person. Or more accurately, because the world couldn't separate her professional abilities from her personal choices. She called William from her car, trying to keep her voice steady. "I got fired." "What?" The anger in his voice was immediate and fierce. "They can't do that. We'll sue." "I'll have my lawyers on this within the hour." "Don't," Jenna said tiredly. "It won't change anything. They'll just come up with another reason, and I'll be the difficult person who sued her former employer. That's not how I want to start the next phase of my career." "What do you want?" William asked, and she could hear him making an effort to calm down. "I want to see you. Can you come over? I'm already on my way." He arrived 20 minutes later, still in his suit from the office, and just pulled Jenna into his arms without saying anything. She let herself break down then, crying into his chest while he held her and murmured soothing words. "This is so stupid," she said when she could finally speak. "I'm good at my job. I've won awards for my designs, and none of that matters because I'm dating you." "I'm so sorry," William said. "If I could take this all back, undo the damage, I would." "You don't get to take it back," Jenna said, pulling away to look at him. "What happened happened. We deal with it and move forward. How? Your career just took a massive hit because of me. Then I rebuild." Jenna wiped her eyes, feeling a spark of determination cutting through the despair. "I've been thinking about starting my own firm anyway. This just forces the timeline." William looked at her like she had just announced she was planning to fly to the moon. "You want to start your own firm? Now?" "Why not? I have some money saved, enough to cover a few months of expenses. I can work as an independent contractor while I build a client base. It'll be hard, but it's better than looking for another job where the same thing will probably happen." "I could help," William offered. "Invest in your firm, help you get established." "Absolutely not," Jenna said immediately. "If I do this, I do it on my own. Otherwise, everyone will say I only succeeded because of your money." "Who cares what everyone says?" "I do," Jenna replied. "I need to prove to myself that I can do this." "Can you understand that?" William was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. "I can, but I'm here if you need me, for anything that's not financial backing apparently." "I need you to believe in me," Jenna said. "That's enough." Over the next few months, Jenna threw herself into building Torres architecture. She rented a small office space in a neighborhood she could afford and started reaching out to former clients and colleagues. Some people were supportive, excited about her new venture. Others clearly wanted nothing to do with her after the gossip and controversy. It was brutally hard work. There were weeks when she wasn't sure she could pay rent, when she questioned every decision that had led her to this point. But slowly, painfully, she started to gain traction. A former client hired her to design an addition to their house. A community center she had worked on before reached out about a new project. Small wins, but wins nonetheless. Through it all, William was her anchor. He showed up at her office with coffee and lunch when she forgot to eat. He listened to her vent about difficult clients and celebrated every new contract like it was a major victory. He believed in her so completely that it made her believe in herself. "You're going to be extraordinary," he told her one night. They were at his place, and Jenna was spread across his couch reviewing blueprints. "You already are." "I'm broke and exhausted," Jenna countered. "That's not extraordinary. You're building something from nothing. You're doing it on your own terms, refusing to compromise your principles. That's the definition of extraordinary." Jenna set aside the blueprints and crawled into his lap, wrapping her arms around his neck. "How are you so good at saying exactly what I need to hear?" "Practice," William said with a smile. "Also, I'm hopelessly in love with you, so it's not hard to come up with nice things to say." "You are, hopelessly in love, completely gone," he confirmed. "You've ruined me for all other women. If this doesn't work out, I'm doomed to die alone surrounded by cats." Jenna laughed. "You're allergic to cats. Then I'll die alone surrounded by tasteful modern art and regret." She kissed him, putting everything she felt into it. "Good thing this is working out then." Their relationship deepened in ways that went beyond romance. They became true partners, supporting each other through the daily struggles and small triumphs. William was dealing with his own challenges, working to reshape Anderson Manufacturing's reputation, while fighting resistance from old guard executives who preferred his father's cutthroat approach. "Half the management team thinks I'm weak," he told Jenna one particularly difficult evening. "They want to go back to maximizing short-term profits at the expense of everything else." "What do you want?" Jenna asked. "I want to build something sustainable, something I can be proud of." He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture of frustration Jenna had come to recognize. "But maybe they're right. Maybe I'm too soft for this." "You're not soft," Jenna said firmly. "You're principled. There's a difference. The fact that you're trying to do right in an industry that rewards ruthlessness doesn't make you weak. It makes you brave." William looked at her for a long moment. "I don't know what I did to deserve you." "You defended yourself with dignity when everyone else was attacking," Jenna reminded him. "You were trying to do the right thing before I ever stepped in. I just saw what was already there." 6 months after they started dating, William's sister Sarah came to visit from California. Jenna was nervous about meeting her, knowing how important family approval could be, but Sarah turned out to be warm and funny, with none of William's reserved nature. "So you're the architect," Sarah said when they met for brunch at a cafe near Jenna's office. "Will says you're incredibly talented." "Will is biased," Jenna replied. "Will is my brother, and he's never brought a woman home to meet the family before," Sarah corrected. "So you must be pretty special." Jenna glanced at William, who looked slightly embarrassed. "You've never introduced anyone to your sister." "I've dated," William said, "but no one I wanted to integrate into my life like this." Sarah grinned. Translation: "He's never been this serious about anyone. It's kind of adorable, actually, seeing him all smitten." "I'm sitting right here," William protested. "We know Will." "That's what makes it fun to talk about you." Jenna liked Sarah immediately. Over brunch, she learned about Sarah's research on coral reef restoration, her dreams of making a real difference in marine conservation, and her complicated relationship with their father. "He wanted me to join the business like Will," Sarah explained. When I chose marine biology instead, he pretty much disowned me, cut me off financially, told me I was wasting my potential. That's terrible, Jenna said. It was freeing, actually, Sarah replied. I got to live my life on my own terms without his expectations crushing me. Will wasn't so lucky. After Sarah left, William was quiet during the drive back to his apartment. You okay? Jenna asked. Just thinking about what Sarah said, about me not being lucky. She didn't mean it as an insult. I know. But she's right. I've spent my whole life trying to live up to my father's expectations, and even now, running the company the way I think is right, I'm still defined by his legacy. He pulled into his parking spot and turned off the engine but didn't move to get out. Sometimes I wonder what I would have done if I'd had Sarah's courage, if I'd just walked away and chosen my own path. You are choosing your own path, Jenna said softly. You're taking what your father built and transforming it into something better. That takes a different kind of courage. William reached for her hand, lacing their fingers together. You always know what to say. I just tell you what I see. That night, lying in bed with Jenna's head on his chest, William said, "Move in with me." Jenna lifted her head. "What? Move in with me," he repeated. "I know it's a big step, but I hate saying goodbye to you at the end of the night. I want to wake up next to you every morning. I want this to be our space, not just mine." Jenna's heart raced. That's a huge commitment. I know, and I know we haven't been together that long, but I've never been more sure of anything. He cupped her face, his thumb stroking her cheek. I love you. I want to build a life with you. Moving in together seems like a good next step. I love you too, Jenna said. But I need to think about it. This penthouse is incredible, but it's very much yours. If I'm going to move in, I need it to feel like ours, not like I'm just staying in your space. Whatever you want to change, we'll change it, William said immediately. Redecorate, renovate, knock down walls, I don't care, I just want you here. Jenna smiled, her mind already spinning with possibilities. Okay, yes, let's do it. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of packing and planning. True to his word, William gave Jenna free rein to redesign the apartment. She softened the stark modern aesthetic with warmer colors and more comfortable furniture. She claimed one of the spare rooms as her home office, setting up her drafting table near the windows with the best light. This feels like a real home now, William said, looking around at the changes. Before it was just a place I slept. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard, Jenna replied. Homes should be sanctuaries, not just functional spaces. I never had that growing up. Our house was like a museum, everything perfect and untouchable. Well, this place is allowed to be lived in, Jenna said firmly. That means shoes by the door and dishes in the sink sometimes and general messiness. I can handle messy, William said, pulling her close. As long as you're the one making the mess. Living together revealed new dimensions to their relationship. Jenna learned that William was an early riser who went for runs at dawn, that he hummed while he cooked, that he had terrible taste in movies but defended his choices passionately. William discovered that Jenna talked to herself while working, that she hoarded coffee mugs, that she needed at least an hour of quiet time every morning before she was fully human. They had their first real fight 3 weeks after she moved in. It was over something stupid, whether to attend a charity gala where William was being honored. Jenna didn't want to go, knowing she would be photographed and picked apart by gossip sites again. William thought it was important for them to present a united front. I'm tired of being analyzed like a science experiment every time we go out in public, Jenna said, her frustration boiling over. Can't you just go alone? I could, but I don't want to, William replied. You're my partner, I want you with me. Even if it makes me miserable. It's one night, Jenna. A few hours at most. A few hours of people judging everything about me, from my dress to my hair to whether I'm good enough for you. It's exhausting." William's expression softened. "You think I don't know how hard this is? I see what the attention does to you. But hiding doesn't make it better. It just feeds the narrative that we have something to be ashamed of." "I'm not ashamed," Jenna protested. "I just want some privacy. And you'll have it 99% of the time, but this gala matters to me. It's recognizing the work we've done at Anderson Manufacturing to improve working conditions and employee satisfaction. I want to celebrate that with you." Jenna sighed, feeling her anger deflate. "You're asking me to be brave again." "I'm asking you to stand beside me," William corrected gently. "Like you did that first night. You defended me when no one else would, and I've never forgotten that. I need you now, too." She went to the gala, wearing a stunning emerald dress that William couldn't stop staring at. The event was exactly as she feared, with cameras flashing and whispers following them everywhere. But William never left her side, his hand a constant presence at the small of her back, grounding her. When he gave his acceptance speech, he surprised her by thanking her publicly. "None of this would have been possible without the person who believed in me when no one else did," he said, looking directly at Jenna. "Who saw past the headlines and gave me a chance to prove I could be better. Jenna, you changed my life." The room applauded, and Jenna felt tears prick her eyes. Later, when they were dancing, she said, "You didn't have to do that." "Yes, I did," William replied. "You deserve to be recognized, not as some accessory, but as the incredible woman you are." "I love you," Jenna whispered. "I love you more," William said, and kissed her right there on the dance floor, not caring who was watching. A year into their relationship, Torres Architecture landed its biggest contract yet. A developer was building an affordable housing complex on the south side, and they wanted Jenna to design it. It was exactly the kind of meaningful project she had always dreamed of, creating quality housing for people who needed it most. "This is huge," William said when she told him. "You should celebrate." "I am celebrating, I'm telling you. No, I mean really celebrate. Dinner, champagne, the works." They went to her favorite Italian restaurant, the same place they'd gone on their first date. Over pasta and wine, Jenna talked about her vision for the housing complex, how she wanted to create spaces that felt like home, not just functional units. "You're going to change people's lives," William said. "Kids are going to grow up in buildings you designed. That's legacy." "Speaking of legacy," Jenna said, setting down her fork, "where do you see us in 5 years?" William didn't hesitate. "Married. Maybe talking about starting a family, still navigating the chaos of our lives but doing it together." Jenna's breath caught. They had talked around the future before, but never this directly. "You want to marry me?" "Eventually, yes. Is that okay?" "It's more than okay," Jenna said, her heart full. "It's everything." 3 months later, William proposed. He did it at home, no grand gestures or public displays. They were cooking dinner together, something that had become their favorite weekend ritual, when he suddenly got down on one knee. "What are you doing?" Jenna asked, her heart starting to pound. "Something I should have done months ago." He pulled out a ring box, opening it to reveal a stunning emerald-cut diamond. "Jenna Torres, you are the bravest, most principled person I know. You stood up for me when you had no reason to, and you've been standing beside me ever since. You make me want to be better, do better. I love you more than I thought it was possible to love anyone. Will you marry me?" Jenna was crying before he finished, nodding frantically. "Yes, yes, of course, yes." The ring fit perfectly. Later, Jenna would learn that William had gotten her ring size from her mother, who he had secretly called weeks ago to ask for her blessing. The thought of him nervously talking to her traditional Catholic mother made her laugh and cry at the same time. They got married 6 months later in a small ceremony at a botanical garden. Jenna wore a simple white dress and carried wildflowers. William wore a dark suit and cried when he saw her walking down the aisle. Sarah was maid of honor, and William's best friend from college was best man. Jenna's 3 brothers all attended. Initially suspicious of the billionaire their sister was marrying, but eventually won over by William's obvious devotion. The only person not invited was Walter Anderson. William's father had been vocal in his disapproval of the relationship, calling Jenna a distraction and insisting his son was making a mistake. William had tried to build bridges, but his father remained rigid and judgmental. Eventually, William had accepted that some relationships couldn't be repaired. "I'm sorry he's not here," Jenna said during their first dance. "I'm not," William replied. "Everyone here loves us and wants us to be happy. That's all that matters." They honeymooned in Italy. 2 weeks of exploring ancient architecture and eating incredible food. Jenna filled sketchbooks with ideas inspired by Roman buildings and Tuscan villas. William relaxed in a way Jenna had never seen, the constant tension he carried finally easing. "We should just stay here," he joked one evening. They were sitting on a balcony overlooking Florence, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. "And do what? You'd be bored within a week without your company to run." "Maybe, but it's nice to imagine." He pulled her closer. "Thank you for this, for everything. We're partners," Jenna said simply. "This is what we do." Returning to Chicago meant facing reality again, but it was easier now. They had built a life together, a foundation strong enough to weather whatever came next. Anderson Manufacturing continued to thrive under William's leadership, and Torres architecture was gaining recognition for innovative, community-focused designs. 2 years into their marriage, Jenna won an award for her affordable housing complex. The project had been completed on time and under budget, creating homes for 50 families. At the awards ceremony, she dedicated the honor to everyone who had believed in her vision. "Architecture isn't just about buildings," she said in her acceptance speech. "It's about creating spaces where people can thrive." This project wouldn't have been possible without the community members who shared their needs and dreams, and without a client who prioritized people over profit. "Thank you for letting me be part of something meaningful." William watched from the audience, so proud he thought his heart might burst. This was the woman he had fallen in love with, fierce and passionate and committed to making the world better. That night, as they celebrated at home, Jenna said, "I'm ready." "Ready for what?" William asked. "To start a family, if you still want that." William set down his wine glass very carefully. "Are you serious?" "Completely. I love what we've built together, our life and our home. I want to add to it." He kissed her, deep and full of promise. "I want that more than anything." Their daughter was born 10 months later, a healthy baby girl with Jenna's dark hair and William's gray eyes. They named her Elena Marie Anderson, and she was perfect. William took paternity leave, something almost unheard of for a CEO, and spent those first weeks falling completely in love with his daughter. He changed diapers and walked the floors during midnight crying sessions, and stared at Elena's tiny face like she was the most miraculous thing in the world. "You're a natural at this," Jenna said, watching him rock Elena to sleep. "I had a terrible example of fatherhood," William replied softly. "I'm determined to do better." And he did. As Elena grew, William was there for everything. First steps, first words, first day of preschool. He cut back his hours at work, delegating more to his management team so he could be present for his family. Anderson Manufacturing didn't suffer from his reduced presence. If anything, it thrived, his team stepping up and the company culture becoming even stronger. 3 years after Elena was born, their son arrived. James William Anderson had Jenna's smile and William's stubborn determination. Their family felt complete. Jenna continued working, finding a balance between motherhood and her career that worked for them. She took on fewer projects but made each one count, focusing on work that aligned with her values. Torres architecture became known for innovative community-focused design, and Jenna mentored young architects who were just starting out. "You're changing the industry," William told her one evening. They were in their backyard, watching Alina and James play while the sun set. "I'm just doing what feels right," Jenna replied. "That's exactly what's changing it." On their 10th wedding anniversary, they returned to the botanical garden where they had married. The kids were with Jenna's parents for the weekend, giving them rare alone time. "You ever regret it?" William asked as they walked the same path Jenna had walked down as a bride. "Defending me that night at the gala, all the complications that came after." Jenna stopped walking and turned to face him. "Not for a single second. You're the best decision I ever made, even when it cost you your job, especially then, because it forced me to build something of my own and led me here, to you, to our family, to this life." She took his hands. "I love you, William Anderson. I loved you when you were the villain everyone wanted to hate, and I love you now, every version of you. I loved you from the moment you stepped into that circle and told a room full of powerful people they were wrong," William said. "You were magnificent. You still are." They kissed in the same spot where they had exchanged vows a decade earlier, surrounded by flowers and the promise of all the years still to come. Their story had started with an act of courage, one woman defending a stranger at a dinner when no one else would. But it had become so much more than that. It was a story of partnership and growth, of two people learning to build a life together despite the obstacles. It was a story of love that deepened with every challenge overcome, every triumph celebrated, every ordinary moment shared. William still sometimes looked at Jenna like she was everything, like she had hung the moon and stars just for him. And Jenna still saw the man beneath the billion-dollar fortune, the one who tried every day to be worthy of the second chance she had given him. They had built something lasting, more permanent than any building Jenna could design. They had built a family, a home, a love that would outlast them both. And it had all started with a simple choice to stand up for what was right, to see a person's heart instead of their reputation. Years later, Alina would ask her mother about how she and Daddy met. Jenna would tell her about a dinner party and a circle of angry people, and a decision to step in when it would have been easier to walk away. "You were brave," Alina would say. "I saw someone who needed defending," Jenna would reply. Sometimes that's all bravery is, doing what needs to be done, even when it's hard. And Alina would grow up watching her parents navigate life as true partners, learning that love wasn't about grand gestures or perfect moments. It was about showing up, day after day, choosing each other over and over again. It was about defending each other when the world got harsh, believing in each other when doubt crept in, and building something beautiful together despite all the reasons it shouldn't work. William and Jenna's love story wasn't perfect. It was messy and complicated and full of challenges. But it was real, and it was theirs, and that made it more valuable than anything money could buy. On quiet Sunday mornings, they still cooked breakfast together while the kids played in the next room. William would catch Jenna's eye across the kitchen and smile, that same look of wonder and love he had worn at the gala all those years ago. And Jenna would smile back, grateful every day for the choice she had made to step forward instead of walking away. Because sometimes the best love stories start with the simplest acts of courage. Sometimes they start with defending a stranger at a dinner party, seeing past the headlines to the person beneath. Sometimes they start with one person standing up and saying, This is wrong, and I'm going to do something about it. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, that act of courage leads you to the love of your life, to a partnership that challenges you and sustains you and makes you better than you ever thought you could be. That was the gift William and Jenna had given each other. Not the wealth or the success or any of the external trappings, but the chance to be fully seen and fully loved, exactly as they were. The chance to build something meaningful together, to weather storms and celebrate victories side by side. As they watched their children grow and their love deepen with each passing year, both William and Jenna knew they would make the same choices all over again. Every sacrifice, every challenge, every moment of doubt had been worth it to get to this place, to this life they had built together, to this love that had started with a simple act of defending someone who needed it and had grown into something neither of them could have imagined. And in the end, that was all that mattered. Not the gossip or the business deals or the public perception. Just two people who had found each other against all odds and chosen to build a life together. Two people who still looked at each other like they were everything, because to each other they were. Their story was one of redemption and growth, of learning to be vulnerable and trusting someone else with your heart. It was a story about finding courage in unexpected places, and discovering that sometimes the best things in life come from taking risks. William had been given a second chance at building a better legacy, both in business and in life. And he had taken that chance and run with it, creating a company that valued its workers and a family that valued each other above all else. Jenna had been given the opportunity to build her career on her own terms, to create architecture that mattered and made a difference in people's lives. She had proven that success didn't require compromising your values or accepting the status quo. Together, they had proven that love could overcome circumstances, that partnership meant standing together through difficulties, and that the best relationships were built on mutual respect, support, and an unwavering commitment to each other's happiness and growth. As they grew older together, celebrating anniversaries and watching their children become adults with their own dreams and aspirations, William and Jenna never forgot where it all began. That dinner party where everything changed. The moment when one brave woman decided to defend a stranger and ended up finding her soulmate. It was a story they would tell their grandchildren someday, about courage and love, and the importance of standing up for what's right even when it's difficult. About seeing people for who they really are instead of what others say about them. About building something beautiful out of unlikely circumstances. And through it all, through every chapter of their life together, William continued to look at Jenna like she was everything. Because to him, she was. She was his defender, his partner, his love, his home. She was the woman who had seen him at his lowest point and chosen to believe in him anyway. She was everything that mattered, and Jenna looked at William with equal devotion, knowing she had found something rare and precious. A love that had been tested and had emerged stronger. A partner who supported her dreams and celebrated her successes. A man who had taken his second chance and used it to become someone truly worthy of the faith she had placed in him. Their love story was proof that sometimes the best things in life come from moments of courage, from choosing to do what's right instead of what's easy, from seeing the potential in someone that others have written off. It was a love story that began with defense and grew into devotion, that started with strangers and created family, that took brokenness and built something whole and beautiful and lasting. And it all began with one simple act at a dinner party, when Jenna Torres defended William Anderson and he looked at her like she was everything. Because from that moment on, she was.